I think that's the other thing with agnosticism is really it's just like you're open to the possibilities, but you're not going to be like, I'm hitching my wagon to this the whole time. And maybe it's a cop out. I don't know. Like maybe it's like I get to meet my maker at some point and I'm like, sorry,
My
didn't really know
bad.
for sure, so I didn't pick a team. And I'd like to think the best way to live life is to continually evolve.
No human being can fathom what God has prepared for those who love him. Seen, heard, imagined.
All right. So today, my fellow homie in voice acting is joining me to talk to me about his agnostic beliefs. From Sri Lanka and born with spina bifida, Dinesh Dee Alvis was able to overcome many obstacles to be a successful copywriter, radio personality, musician, voice actor, audio producer, and business owner. Dee, welcome to the show. I appreciate you coming.
I am very honored to be here. Thank you so much, Michelle.
Yeah, certainly, certainly. So I wanted to dig in a little bit about your journey and specifically around your agnostic beliefs. Like, for you, what does it mean to be agnostic?
I just look at it as I think there's more than likely, I believe there's a higher power, some force out there uh, that is in charge to some degree. I just think we as humans aren't meant to truly understand it.
Mm,
Uh, I think that helps me make peace with a lot of things that have happened in my life. It's just a matter of, I think too many people are on this quest to truly understand. I think, a true deity
yeah.
is something we aren't meant to really understand because then we would be on their level. And I
Mm,
don't believe that's the way it's supposed to be. But again, for me, it's more about not thinking I know everything. Like I think
yes.
religion, organized religion, of many kinds, just it's very finite and things get put into a box, and I don't think it's as simple as a lot of people would like to.
Mm, that's fair. That's fair. I appreciate that perspective. And something you said that kind of resonates with me is that we're not the statement we're not meant to understand it all. And Christian belief in the Bible talks about how God is letting us know that my thoughts are not your thoughts, and my thoughts are higher than your thoughts. And it really, every time I read that scripture or someone reminds me of that, it is really hitting home to the fact that we are mere humans, mere humans. And as much as we like to think we got it all together or got it all figured out, I do believe until we leave this realm, we're not going to know the full truth and have full understanding, me personally. So, yeah, that really resonates with me.
I feel that as well because I think that's kind of the entire catch-22 of it all, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't really know till we know, and when we find out, who are we going to tell?
Right. Right. Especially on the other side, right?
Yeah.
Now, how old were you when you were introduced to the Catholic Church? You were raised Catholic, correct?
Yes, I was, and I mean, old as I can, or as far back as I can remember,
Mm-hmm.
and Montessori school and nuns with rulers and things of that
Mm.
nature.
Mm-hmm.
It was very strict, and coming from Sri Lanka, where it's predominantly a Buddhist nation,
Yeah.
so Catholics are very much in the minority.
Mm-hmm.
And so having members of my family who are Buddhist, a few who are Hindu, but the
Mm-hmm.
majority of like my immediate family was Catholic. And
Mm-hmm.
that was, I think in a lot of ways too, was almost like probably how certain religious groups feel in America, where they're the minority and they're kind of vilified, if
Mm.
by the majority. Not to get too deep into the political
Sure.
realm here, but I think that we can all see that there's certain sects of religion and
Oh, yeah.
such that is often looked down upon as lesser or ignorant by those in power or those who feel they are superior.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that was part of the thing
Mm.
for us, was being Catholic in that country was kind of taboo.
Yeah,
So
that's what a good point. You being from there, and that Buddhism would reign while you were growing up. You got me thinking. Now I'm curious. Do you recall growing up any conflict between family members who were Buddhist versus family members of yours, especially that were Catholic? Did that come up much at
yeah, like
all?
my nana, well, my mom's mom, uh, she was very, very heavily involved in the church, and she actually was she worked with Mother Teresa. So, uh, yeah, she came and visited on more than one occasion, from my understanding, and so I think she kind of had it where so strong in her convictions that sometimes she
Mm,
didn't want to hear, you know, another perspective,
mm-hmm.
especially from other members of the family. And I know there was times that that became an issue, uh,
Mm-hmm.
amongst the ranks in my family, but later in life, it seemed like everybody just got respectful of each other's paths, and
That's good.
end of the day, it just became like you're not doing harm, and you're doing right by your family and by your loved ones. Then who's to argue?
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of like that. That's how it went, because that's how it kind of was for me when I was kind of finding my way into, like, well, what do I really believe?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because we get programmed, right? If you're a kid and your parents tell you you're this or you're that, like, you're just going to go with it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, absolutely. Now, did you have siblings who grew up in the church with you as well?
yeah,
Okay.
my older brother was, I'd say he fell out probably around the same time as I did. It was weird, when we moved to the States, I was 4.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then my father was, I don't know, I guess he was on his own path of exploration. Uh, we spent a brief stint in the Mormon church, uh, the Mormon temple outside of Washington, D.C. I used to live pretty close to there. Everyone, the running joke was it looked like Disneyland or something. Like, it looked like a castle kind of from a highway from
Yeah.
495.
Mm-hmm.
And that was always like, oh, what's that? Oh, that's Disneyland. And then we'd be like, well, if that's Disneyland, why can't we go? It's like basically
Right.
in our backyard. And that was apparently my folks weren't the only ones who told their kids that, because a lot of my other friends grew up like, yeah, we were told the same thing. That's weird. And, but no, my father got really heavily involved with the Mormons for a while. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember the elders and the brothers always seemed like nice folks. And we
Mm-hmm.
went and did that. I don't know. It was kind of like, so and that also showed me, like, how really committed are we in my family to
Mm.
said religion. I mean, my mother
That's a
is
good point.
mainly Seventh-day Adventist, like going deeper into that. That's what she's a lot of the family was like that earlier on. My mother kind of got back into that side of it, I guess. I was in like my 20s.
Okay.
So it just seemed like everybody was just kind of like, let's see which shoe fits.
Yeah, like let's go to the
And
the, the religious buffet and try all the things.
yeah, and I thought, not a bad way to live, and in the sense where, like, okay, maybe uh, I don't know. It's like someone convinced you that this what I'm wearing now is blue.
Mm.
I would have thought for the longest time this color is blue, and then so
Mm.
other people would be like, no, look at a box of Crayola. See that?
Mm-hmm.
Be like, oh, so I look at it as, like, when presented with new information,
Yeah.
or as we grow as people and our experiences change us. It's all part of the process, the journey of life. So
Mm-hmm.
keep yourself open.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair. So you came to the States at the age of 4.
Yeah.
When you were back in Sri Lanka, was your father practicing Catholicism?
Far as I know, it was more like I don't think he was that into it. It
Okay.
was more kind of like, I guess this is what we're doing. Like, I
Right.
don't think he was that, like, he wasn't that invested in it,
That
because it was
committed,
more
yeah.
about work and being a dad and, doing right by his family and things like that. So it wasn't, uh, I feel like a lot of times the religious aspect was more like a guide of morality rather than being,
Mm.
like, truly committed. Um,
Mm-hmm.
at least with amongst what I remember as a child. But again,
Mm-hmm.
like, I was young, so
Kind of like what was demonstrated to you. It's that was the
yeah,
message you got from it in the end. And
I mean,
then,
when we came to the States too, we were going and, we went to church, we did our thing. And I remember Sunday school and all that. And, it was definitely, it seemed like pretty par for the course American culture in terms of like, anything in the Christian faith. Obviously you got the different denominations that might do things slightly differently or whatever,
mm-hmm,
but it seemed just like what you see on TV or whatever, like or in a movie where families are going to church. It's like, yep, there's going to be some singing, there's going to be this, there's going to be that, and then hey, now it's time for the kids to go do their thing. And I was always curious what the adults were doing. It's like,
mm-hmm,
are they
yeah.
throwing a kegger right now? Like, what's happening? Like, I don't know what's happening. Always really
The
curious.
wine barrels being passed around, and
Yeah,
people are
I
flipping
mean,
upside down and on top of the
and
barrel.
again, like, and I apologize to anybody. Like, I don't mean to poke fun, but I'm just talking in generalities. Where like the
Sure.
things you hear, so like as a kid thinking, okay, wine is the blood of Christ,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew plenty of people, the adults, part of the church, part of my family that like their libations. So
Right.
that's why my brain would just be. I was always
Yeah.
very curious.
Yeah, the child's
Very,
mind reflecting on
yeah.
what were the adults doing in the big room over there. Right.
Yeah, I was like,
That's
why
all
are
we're
we
joking
getting
about.
thrown
Yeah.
into a separate? Because I always enjoyed, like, honestly, when I was in church like that, I enjoyed the other stuff.
Yeah.
So when Sunday school time came, I was like, this sucks. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I felt like we were getting, not that we were getting punished, but it was kind of like, like Adult Swim, if you will,
Oh
at
yeah,
the
yeah.
pool.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, so
There's PBS church, and then there's Adult Swim church, so to speak. And so you're imagining Adult Swim church be way cooler. It's okay to be kid like still. It's okay to be kid like.
my curious, inquisitive mind always thought, well, like, yeah, if there was no records per se, right, at the time people couldn't, read or write or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
these stories, much like in tribal culture for indigenous folks, they're passed on orally.
Mm-hmm.
And so if somebody down the line either misunderstood something
Mm-hmm.
or decided they had some kind of agenda, they could kind of be like, well, here's my own spin on this. And almost like the telephone game as a kid, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
but think of that over the course of generations of the word being passed down, if you will. Like, something might get lost in translation, or maybe as you go from across borders or across oceans, across valleys, across rivers,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So it's always seemed like something kind of open for interpretation. And I think my feelings from when I was, really a practicing Catholic, I just looked at God as this being, this deity, this wonderful force that was just like, whatever your path is, as long as you got it in here,
Mm-hmm.
you're good. It wasn't about you have to show up to this building every Sunday between X time and X time. It was just like I remember one of the things I had a problem with was the recanting situation where I was like, wait a
Mm.
minute. And again, this is me being a kid, and also I had teachers that would be like, why do you have to question everything? And I'm like, and even now at 46, that's me. I'm not believing 90% of what I see on TV or on the radio or what
Mm.
I read on the internet because I'm like, everything's done for profit. No different, in the old days with certain sex. That's what it was. It was how do we make money? Churches became a big business in certain nations at certain times, things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
uh, I always looked at it like question everything. So that's where my rebellious,
Yeah. Yeah.
when those labels started being thrown at me, and I was just like, why? Because should I want to like if I want a deeper understanding of something, I would ask questions, right? Like I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't take chemistry and not ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
Like I couldn't learn a new language without asking questions. I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
if I wanted to be a mechanic or learn to fly planes. There's going to be some questions I'm going to ask.
Yeah. Certainly.
Explain it to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of people say nowadays when like they don't get something, it's like explain it to me like I'm a kid or explain it to me like I'm four.
Right.
Like yeah, sometimes that you want to break it down in the simplest forms. And I felt like a lot of times I was just getting trying to talked over and talked at
Mm-hmm.
and deflect a lot of deflecting. I'm like, well, you never
Mm-hmm.
actually answered my question. And then when I,
Mm-hmm.
then it was like, all right, you need a timeout. So, which again, I got very used to the punishments
Mm-hmm.
in the Montessori days and things like that too, where I was just like, you know, I never thought it was right for people to be punished for just being inquisitive. And that was a terrifying thought to me too, you know.
Yeah.
And again, you read about it in history and things like that. It's like that's why things like the Crusades happen. And one of my problems with organized religion as a whole, I didn't, I went my own way, was a lot of the purity and like the beauty of the religions was twisted and perverted by these agendas and kind of some horrible deeds, like to say, in the name of God. And I'm like, pretty sure God doesn't want this. What's going on in the Middle East right now? I'm like, whatever your belief is, I don't think any righteous God, people suffering, wants kids being indiscriminately killed for the sake of whatever one side believes is their right or their self-righteous agenda. It's depressing, it's scary, and it's just, so that's why I come down to the philosophy. It's like, I don't think we're meant to know. And when we do find out, it'll probably be a glorious thing. But while we're on this plane, I think we're just supposed to be trying to be decent. You know what I mean? If you want to go by the 10 Commandments, or you want to go by whatever the laws of your county are, I mean, I just think there's basic human decency that everybody, I don't care what your religion is, I think most humans all across the world can agree, like, just be kind, respectful, don't steal, don't kill, don't tread on people, whatever you want to, it's just, it shouldn't be that complicated. But over the course of centuries, we as a human species have made it cruelly complicated and to our detriment, I feel.
Yeah, we're really good at that. We're really good at that. Things that we get our hands on, we're good at that. Ultimately, what caused you to turn away from the Catholic Church?
I wasn't feeling the connection anymore, and it was kind of also like, again, with my we're Mormon now for a few weeks or whatever it was. I was just
For
like,
a few weeks, yeah.
Yeah, like it might have been longer than that, but it definitely felt like it was just kind of like
a short stint.
Almost like going through my goth phase in high school or something. For me, it came down to later in life. In college, I took this theology class, and then it was just, it was basically like studying the 5 major religions. So Buddhism, Islam, Catholicism, or Christianity, Judaism, and what did I skip? Hinduism. Yeah.
Yes.
So like so it was interesting to see a lot of the overlap.
Yeah.
But then sometimes kind of like the teachings of whoever was, whether it's Muhammad or whether it's, the Buddha, there were a lot of things I felt like overall the message is be kind, be generous when possible, don't do harm. And I'm like, cool. What if we simplified the whole system across the world and just said, hey, let's just try to do these things. I think maybe it would have been a more perfect world. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm also a bit ideological. So like, I don't know, after studying it all, I was just kind of like, you know what? I think they all make a lot of good points. And I think especially amongst Islam, Judaism, and Christianity, I think there's a lot, like 90% is the same. It's just that 10% that causes conflict, and which is kind of like an interesting way of perfect analogy for the rest of the world, right? As human beings, like everyone's so focused on the differences these days. It's like, we can agree on 150 things, but it's that 151st thing that can cause families to not speak to each other anymore. This divisive nature we've created in the tech world. Now, I get, again, sometimes the rules are put in reverse, right? Human nature. Things like, thou shalt not cover thy neighbor's wife and stuff like that. I'm like, humans are animals, right? We are mammals. So there's certain things where it's like, you shouldn't do harm, right from wrong. But sometimes, if you're starving, if you got a family to feed, you're going to be Jean Valjean and get that bread and then get thrown in jail for it, which is like, again, is it wrong to steal bread for your family? I guess legally speaking, yes, but morally, is that, so then it becomes an idea of like, there are just so many things where I'm just kind of like, I think a lot of you guys are saying the same thing, but just saying it in different ways. So I just kind of took a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and I just kind of like, not that I was trying to create my own religion, but I was just like, I'm just trying to find my place in this crazy world.
Right.
And what I feel comfortable with and how I want to live my life, and, trying to do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. The golden rule seems to
Rule.
be another one that I'm just like, hey, if all else fails, let's just stick to that, and it just came down to, look, you're not smart enough. You don't have the answers. Nobody truly has the answers. And so I didn't know. So I thought I was atheist, and I was like, because it's not like so that's what I thought was like the category I would have been boxed into. And even my brother was like, oh, yeah, we're atheists. And I'm like, are we though? Because I feel like that's more like you absolutely believe there isn't a God. That's my
I would
understanding,
agree.
right? And it's almost like an anti-religious thing, which to me, I'm like, doesn't it become its own religion in that regard? So I looked at agnosticism as like, I don't freaking know. I don't claim to know. And I'm just going to mind my damn business and not judge other people.
Dee, I'm imagining that's going to be the new Webster's Dictionary definition of Gnosticism. I don't know. I don't freaking know.
It
Doing
could
the
be
best I
this, could be
can.
that. Yeah.
Sprinkle of this, sprinkle of that. My goodness. Oh. Now, Dee, what kind of spiritual experiences have you had that maybe influence your decision to remain a faithful agnostic?
Faithful agnostic. I like that. I just, I don't know. I feel like I have this relationship with, again, for lack of better understanding, a God, a higher power, a force of energy, whatever it is, that, because I'm a very scientific person as well. So that's the other thing I got kind of upset about growing up. It's like the war between religion and science at times. And I'm like, well, can't both be true? You know what I mean? Like maybe there was a creator, but also scientists figured out some other stuff so maybe again, it's all a balance. For me, it just came down to a lot of experiences where I just felt empty, where I thought this thing was this path or this notion that I was taught would lead to certain fulfillment and things like that. And, that's another reason why I like Buddhism is very interesting, just very much counter to a lot of other things that most of us, especially, these days in modern society where we need the newest gadget and got to upgrade this, got to upgrade that. It's like, yeah, that whole wanting and desire creates that emptiness. And I thought that maybe that was part of it. And then I just realized, like, I just felt like I was spinning wheels all the time. But every now and then, it's kind of like when I tune out the noise and I felt whether it's a vision, deja vu would happen, things like that. I'm like, there's something going on here that, again, I don't understand it, but I know there's something well beyond what we see, what we feel, what we hear, what we smell. There is a sixth, maybe seventh, maybe eighth sense. And there were times, whether it be, I believe I encountered spirits at times, and I believe that I had those dreams that felt very vivid, like it was telling me, you're at this fork in the road, go left. And like some of the biggest decisions of my life were made, like, and it wasn't like it would just happen once. So I'd still be wrestling with something, and then I'd have very similar experience again. Again, I'm not sure if it's a dream or a vision. I know I was not really conscious.
Okay.
Even a couple times, I remember during surgery, where I remember being like, while I was under, this happened, and you can't really explain it. And so again, I was just kind of like, there is something out there that's working in a way that doesn't really make sense on a logical level. So then that's when I had to shut off like the scientific part of the logic and reason
Right.
versus being spiritual, being open to possibilities. And to this day, I'm like, if somebody presents me with something where like, let's just say we have some proof that X religion is the true path, I'd be open to it. Like, all right, let me hear what you got. So I think that's the other thing with agnosticism is really it's just like you're open to the possibilities, but you're not going to be like, am I hitching my wagon to this the whole time. And maybe it's a cop out. I don't know. Like maybe it's like I get to meet my maker at some point, and I'm like, sorry,
My
didn't really know
bad.
for sure, so I didn't pick a team. So I'm like, I know for a lot of folks, life is hard. For many, existence can be suffering. So uh, somebody asked me once, like, wouldn't it be great to be immortal? And I'm like, no.
Mm.
Like, you wouldn't want to live forever? I'm like, I don't want to be trying to find voiceover work for the next 700 centuries or something. Like, at the end of the day, like, you got to put food on the table, you got to do these things, and it's exhausting.
Yeah.
I'm like, unless I come back in the next life and I'm filthy, stinking rich, but even in that case, probably would be very unfulfilled.
You'll
You
have
know,
different problems then.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, as my wife and I joke about, winning the lottery, and it's like, but we both know we would still have some kind of stuff. Like, I would definitely still do VO work, or go back to playing music on a regular basis. And I know she would still continue a couple of her side hustles because she enjoys it. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
finding joy in things that are productive,
Yeah.
I think that might be the ultimate.
Yeah.
That might be nirvana, because we all have to be productive, right? We can't just stagnate away. I mean,
Shouldn't,
some
at
people, maybe they
least.
can. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
I got some
Yeah.
friends and family members that ain't done damn thing in their life for a long time now, and just somebody takes care of stuff for them. But hey, and they truly seem happy. So I'm like, that's great. For a lot of us, we want that purpose. Otherwise,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what can get you into that spiritual limbo, if you will. Where, it's like that question of what's the meaning of life? Does anybody really have a good answer? And at the end of the day, I think that's another lesson as humans we got to understand is like, you may be diehard in your convictions to X, Y, and Z, and think it's insane for another person to have differing values, but it's all based on one's experiences, right?
Oh, yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
nobody's wrong, nobody's right. It just, look, if you've experienced a certain thing your whole life, like people who've never suffered, this is where when I used to, I still help out, volunteering and stuff, but like kind of not coaching people so much, but just like being an ear, being a accountability partner kind of thing, whatever you want to call it, in different circles.
Mm-hmm.
What I found is for a lot of folks who like never dealt with anything like real tragic,
Mm-hmm.
once they do, and it happens later in life, they are not equipped to handle it, and they can completely fall apart.
Yeah.
And so that's where I'm like, you know what? A lot of stuff I dealt with when I was growing up, and some of the horrible atrocities I saw in my homeland, which is one of the reasons we moved to the
Mm-hmm.
States, really made me think, I appreciate a lot of things that many kids did not,
Yeah.
even as an adult. Like, I'm not materialistic, like I just haven't been. Like, that would be a conflict in relationships in the past where exes would be like, we gotta do this, we gotta do that. And I'm like, I don't want a giant house. And I'm like, that's just a bunch of stuff to clean, man. Oh no, we'll get help with that. And I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, that seems, like I just never, I was like, the fridge is full, the sun's shining. I got some good people in my life that I can talk to and share laughs with. I got money in my pocket to go see live music or stand-up comedy show, or treat ourselves to some Thai food or Indian food at a proper joint from time to time. It's like,
You're
I feel good.
content.
You know what I
You're
mean? Like,
content. Yeah. We all have to take into account people's upbringings, what they were exposed to, their personal life traumas. All of those things lead to who they are now, their opinions, their perspectives. And all you need is for something to come along. It could be anything. It could be a vision. You mentioned vision and dreams. It could be a vision or a dream. It could be a loved one passing away. It could be so many things that can just take people off of a course that they thought they were on or belonged to, or they thought they knew what they were doing, and all of a sudden you just don't. And that's the interesting thing about life. And so getting back to even what we talked about at the beginning, it's like, I agree with you, Dee. Ultimately, we're just not going to know everything until we get there, until we get with our creator.
And that's where a lot of times too, with the people who are very anti-religion or like, I mean, like I understand if you dislike the way organized religion is, how it shapes people in certain ways, but to say like the entire thing is BS or whatever is so disrespectful. And because I think for most people, one of the things that attracts them to any religion is the hope.
Mm.
It's like things will be okay. The life after this will be better. Whatever, there's something very positive about that.
Mm.
And I'm like, what's wrong with hope? You know what I mean? Like, so people who are truly skeptics about everything, like, again, I can't explain exactly some of these things with the visions or whatever and like the, supernatural encounters, but I'm like, you can't put a feeling on paper. You know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of us would just like something happens and you can't explain it, but it's like a cathartic experience, like an
Yeah.
awakening of sorts. And yeah, if you try to explain it to the average person, they're going to be like, yeah, okay, you might want to get back on your meds there, buddy. But it's,
Right.
it's not for everybody. And
Yep.
again, to each their own. But I, being so anti something seems very like, hey, find some joy, man.
Mm.
Like, why do you have to be a critic of everybody? You know what I mean? Like, somebody's enjoying something that works for them. Be happy for them. You know, if like the running joke, of course, forever, like because we've had them before, was like I mentioned the Mormons, but the Jehovah's Witness situation, where like I know people to this day who are just like, I love messing with those people. I'm like, why? Just tell them you're not interested. For me, one of the big ones were like talking about turning around on things, like so again, upbringing or whatever. I was not much of a dog person later in
No.
life or in the younger years.
Yeah.
My first dog died real young when I was real young. I was still in Sri Lanka.
Mm.
And then later on, I remember I got bitten by this dog in my grade school. And for the longest time, I just, because, whatever they just assume a lot of times, oh, it's this breed. So pit bulls get a horribly bad rap. And I became one of those people that was just scared of dogs. Then I was like, oh, yeah, the pit bulls, man, those things are dangerous. Till I got involved in rescue, fell in love with them, and it became one of my missions. And then people were like, folks who knew me from the past were like, wait a minute, when did you become? And I was like, because somebody presented to me one day, a friend of mine, when we were living together for a little while, and like her dog, Kalima, uh, she was the sweetest, the most amazing creature. But I remember I was terrified. And so when my friend Megan asked me, she's like, why are you so scared of them? I was like, well, when I was a kid, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, did you do something to provoke that? And then, kind of had to like really look at myself in the mirror and say, yeah, I guess I was sticking my hand in the fence and teasing this dog and being a complete jerk. And the dog reacted. So,
Yeah.
again, all this time I thought I was in the right and this creature was wrong and evil. And it turned out, no, I was a stupid kid who did a stupid thing and I got my comeuppance and I didn't want to accept that.
Yeah.
So instead, it's like, let me throw shade at this innocent creature and all of its ilk for the rest of my, and boom. So I think there's a little bit of analogy there. I think some people are picking up what I'm
Yes.
putting down.
Yeah.
And I'd like to think the best way to live life is to continually evolve. I always say, like in the old days, I like being the smartest person in the room. Now I like being the dumbest person in the room because I want to learn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Teach me, give me some more knowledge. Let me soak that in and apply it to whatever wherever it would be helpful in life. And I just think that's the beautiful way to live. So when people think they got it all figured out at whatever age, I don't care if you're 15 or you're 75, you're always going to be learning something new and growing, and just be open to it because everything evolves. The world evolves, nature evolves, everything. It's all fluid. So to be like 100% willing to die on some hill, and for what? Internet clout? Like, come on.
Right.
Lighten up, people.
Yeah.
Life's too short.
And there's parallels there, even with the Christian belief and practice, that once we make this decision to follow Christ, it's a sanctification process. It is a process, it's a transformation. Our goal all throughout our human lifetime is to become more and more like Christ. And I guarantee you, we probably never make it.
I mean, a lot of
Jesus
people
was the
do a
one
lot
to
of,
have made it, but
yeah, a lot of people in the name of, and I'm like, did you read your Bible? Because I don't think Christ was doing some of these things that you are so fond of there, young man or young lady. So cutting out the middlemen, if you will, I think would help, because a lot of times it's like, again, it's all open to interpretation, right? You can go through verses and find some beauty in things, but one person might interpret it this way, one person might interpret it that way. I know a lot of people who say like, well, God's not supposed to be this kind. I mean, I'm like, yes, there's a lot of vengeful things, or especially in the Old Testament, but at the same time, like, isn't that the balance? Like, you couldn't, it'd be like parenting, right? If you were always just like, okay, kids, do whatever the heck you want, your kid's not going to grow up to be a very functional adult, right? So sometimes, yeah,
yeah.
sometimes God's got to show the back of the hand or the wooden ladle, um, to mankind, to keep us from doing the foolishness that gets us in trouble, like eating the apple you weren't supposed to eat, all that other beautiful stuff, man. And you had to be greedy,
Yep.
you know.
100%.
So I think there's a lot of the stuff in those texts that are very useful. Again, it's just like, if you want to just take it almost like Aesop's fables or something, right? Like, there's lessons in all these things. So it doesn't mean that you have to believe verbatim this happened or whatever. Just take the morals of it, take the lesson of it, and apply it. That's all. Like, that's what I tell people when they're like, "Oh, I don't believe there was a flood and blah blah." There's scientific. I'm like, that's cool, but do you not see, like, read between the lines, like, what they're trying to tell you? What God's word is in this situation, in these scenarios, like everything doesn't have to be super black and white, and like, just open your mind, open your heart, and if it ain't for you, it ain't for you. But again, don't tell other people that what they should or should not believe.
And you mentioned hope.
That's the big one.
Hope. There's a lot of hope. The hope that that you have, or that I have, the undercurrent of that is that I have faith for a better time, that this is only temporary, and that I'm not going to stay in this forever. The hope and the faith piece.
What is wrong with somebody saying this way people live a certain way and be happy, and like, in the darkest times, if you have faith? That's the one thing I know about people who are very like devout in their beliefs. They handle dark times very well, because they're just like, this will pass. God's got me, or Christ, whatever it is. It's like there is a foundation laid that gives them that life preserver when they're drowning. I think that's the thing, like mental health, things like that. I know I've gone through it where I'm like, I don't know who I'm necessarily praying to or whatever, but I'm like, I know there's something bigger and better out there than I can understand. And if you're out there listening, please help me through this thing. So like, and I do, I think there's gotta be something after this world. I don't know what it is either, right? Some people think you're just worm food. Other people think you're going to ascend, or you're doing this, or you're doing that. And I'm like, I don't know what it is, but, I mean, even if it is like you're just done, okay, cool. Well, then there's no more suffering, right? Maybe it's not going to be paradise, but if you cease to exist, if there is no soul, which I truly believe there is a soul, then why are you sweating it? You know what I mean? Like, then when it's over, it's over. So maybe in that sense, dude, enjoy this trip even more so.
Yeah.
I like to think, if my medical condition and other factors weren't at play, I would definitely be living it up more, because I truly believe, like, I'm still, like, I'm lucky to be here. I've lived way longer than anybody ever expected. So, like, every day is truly a gift. It's a blessing. But a lot of days I'm just like, you want to take advantage of that blessing or catch up and binge watch some shows. And then and it's just like, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak.
That's right. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'm like, I've lived a pretty good life. I've accomplished a lot of things I wanted to accomplish in life. Like, I think all I ever want, if I were to sum up my hope for my trip around this world, is I'd like to think I left it in better shape than I found it.
Mm.
That's it. End of the day, you know, I'm sure I pissed a lot of people off, and there are plenty of people in my past who could tell you some stories, and that's, again, and nobody's perfect. People
Mm-hmm.
go through whatever they go through, but I think for the most part, if there was a checklist, a checkbook, if you will, I
Mm.
think I deposited a lot more positivity uh, than I did negativity. And
Mm.
I'd like to keep that going, pay it forward, because
Mm.
what's the point of ruining somebody's day for no good reason? You know what I mean? Like, people are
Mm-hmm.
jerks. Like, you go to the store and you want to just, be rude to somebody, uh, belittle somebody, simple thing like holding a freaking door open. Like,
Mm.
some people don't see that as, and maybe that's the thing. Maybe it wasn't the religion so much, but it was the manners I was brought up with. Because my mom, to this day, 5 foot nothing, still terrifies me when she gives me that look. So, you know, and she knows, she'll tell you, she'll be the first to tell you, "You're not too old for me to slap you upside the head." I'm like, "Yes, ma'am, that is
Mm-hmm.
true." So,
That's the
uh,
same messaging I get. Yeah.
yeah. So I think it keeps you humble, keeps you grounded, and even if, like, even in what we do as voice actors, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm definitely a lot further ahead than I thought I could be a few
Right.
years back. So, like, now, let's say I'm in the middle of the ladder, I'm trying to help people up.
Mm.
There are people still above me who are still looking out for me and trying to help me out. But I was like, all right,
Mm-hmm.
now I'm here. I'm now in a position where I can actually help other
Mm.
people. I'm not going to charge them for coaching or things like that, because a lot of people are like, you should be a coach. And I'm like, I don't think I have any business being a coach. Uh,
Mm.
when there's people far more accomplished than me that could be doing or are doing whatever. But, like, tell you what I can help you with. You got some questions about this, that. I'm happy to take a call. I'll, jump on a podcast. I just like the human experience and the isolation, especially since COVID happened.
Mm.
That was tough for a lot of people, especially me.
Yeah.
I'm a very outgoing person. I love to just experience human beings. I love hearing the craziest laugh when I'm out in public somewhere, or, like, you know, a kid being maybe a little bit out of pocket, because kids love to ask questions, right? And sometimes people are like, "Oh my God, that's rude." Like, I don't know how many times, like, it's been like, "Mommy, what's wrong with that man's legs?" And they're just, the mom or the dad's like, "Oh," I'm like, "It's totally okay." Like, the natural thing for the kid, like, yeah,
Yeah.
something's not right about this. I'm curious. So it's
Or
like,
it's just
but
different.
those,
It's just different.
yeah,
Yeah.
but that's life. That's the experience. I miss traveling, like, from being overseas, and we used to get to travel a lot because my mom was with the IMF. And then it was just like experiencing other cultures. Even here in the States, I'm like, you go to different cities in the same state, even, it can be like a different country.
Mm-hmm.
I lived
True.
in Baltimore for so many years, and then, but I also lived in DC, and people think it's the proximity, they'd be so similar. And I'm like, they really were quite opposite, um, in terms of the, like, the vibe and the culture.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess at the time, both of them were equally in the top 5 for murder capital, but overall, DC
Mm-hmm.
was very much like more posh, and people thought their poop don't stink. Baltimore was where people kept it real. Like, in DC, I remember, like, if you just said hi to a stranger on the street, like, they'd be like, "Oh,"
Mm.
like you were working some angle. In Baltimore, people were just, like, friendly like that, and at
Yeah.
least it was for a while. But, living down here in Florida, a different culture. When I spent in Pennsylvania, time I spent up in New England, and probably California, or whatever. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, there's a lot of beautiful things in this world,
Mm-hmm.
in this life, to experience. And, like, so don't just box yourself into this little screen thing and be like,
Right.
the whole world lives here in my pocket, and everything
Mm.
here is what, and I think that happened with COVID. Obviously, like, people were isolated, we're bored, we're scared, and we just turned to something that was comforting. And a lot of times it was our little magic devices, our little black mirrors that can be very detrimental to our mental health.
Yeah. So true.
So get out there, enjoy some sunshine.
Yeah.
Hey, you like thunderstorms? It's summertime. Go enjoy that. Um, but always just keep an open mind about things. And hear
Mm.
people out. If somebody looks different than you, or talks different than you, or, that's all part of the experience. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think we worry too much about these divisive things like religion and race, and that's why I always say, like, this one, like, either it pisses people off or it cracks them up. But when a lot of times it'll be like, what are your pronouns, or what do you identify as, or whatever it is, I'm always just like, a human being.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to put myself in a box. And I think if we all just said, hey, you're a human being, I'm a human being, we start consciously acknowledging, like, we are the same,
Mm-hmm.
even though we're going to have some differences. But more often than not, anybody you meet in this world, I guarantee you, if you sat down and talked to them for a couple hours, you'd find you have a lot more in common with them than you have,
You are so right. Yeah. My time with this podcast has revealed that to me as well. Like, I knew that already, but to experience it, and just from strangers or people that I just know through social media, because you and I have yet to meet, but we've been following one another for years, and it's almost like there's this weird, nebulous friendship that I know we have, but this is the first time we've done this, right? It's crazy. But yeah, no, that's a really good point, Dee. That's a really, really good point.
It was so cool when, like, you hit me up about this, because I used to do podcast stuff, and then a lot of people were like, when are you going to start? And I was like, you know what?
You
I would
should.
love to, because I'd love to do this kind of thing and, like, get these opportunities with other people I know or I follow or whatever, and I'd like to get to know better or whatever. But then I'm like, I was on the other end, like, running podcasts and doing interviews, on the radio and stuff for so many years. I'm like, I like being in the passenger seat. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's great to get a forum like this where, like, you just let me go for, I know I can go off and be a little, but it's all coming from genuine inside me. None of this is scripted. It's just like, and I think it's a beautiful thing to be able to do that. And to get this opportunity, I really appreciate it. So thank you.
Yeah. No, thank you. Thank you. Thanks for coming and just sharing your insights and your life experiences. It's not always hard to. There's a level of vulnerability involved in doing things like this. So thank you for doing that. And for those who are watching, how might they get connected with you if they want to learn more about you and who Dee is?
So my phone number, no.
Social security number, birth date is
1-900. $2 for the first minute, 45 cents for each. Do they still do that?
Oh God!
I need another side hustle. The party lines from, maybe I'm aging myself.
Being a voice actor, that it might be lucrative, but we're not going to encourage that. We're not going to encourage. There's other things you can make money, Dee.
No, but yeah, no, absolutely. So if you want to check out my work or whatever, my website is dealvisvo.com. That's DEEALV as in Victor, ISVO as in voiceover.com. And you can look me up I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on the Gram, I'm on the TikToks, I'm on the Facebook business page, because my Facebook is like my one sanctuary where I'm like very, very selective of who because like that's just when I'm going to be a complete clown, and some people just I don't talk about business stuff on my personal page. But basically, if you have a social platform that you use, just look up Dee Alvis video and probably going to pop up.
Very cool. Okay.
And if not, maybe an imposter account, because those have actually happened. I'm like, oh, does that mean I made it?
Right.
Someone wants to steal my identity.
They say it's a good sign. They say it's a very good sign. Yeah. Now,
and I'm open to talking to people. Like, I am an open book. I chat with so many people. Like, some of the best friends I've made in the last 5-10 years. Just, you know what I say? A stranger's just a friend you haven't met. So
that's right. That's right.
I think was that Streetcar Named Desire? I think. Oh, sorry.
I don't know. I've heard it so many times.
Random.
Yeah. It's random.
That's also where this brain goes sometimes.
So, Dee, the way I wrap up an episode of Seen, Heard, Imagined is that I ask the guest to share with me a well wish you have for the next guest, or if you have a prayer for them, what have you. What can I pass on to the next guest from you?
How about this? It's a little toast. And again, it doesn't you don't enjoy alcohol, you don't have to. It's just you could do it with juice or whatever. But I learned it as a toast, and I love this because it's very simple. When you think about it, it's brilliant. May the best of your past be the worst of your future.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's beautiful. I like that. I will definitely be passing that on. Now, the previous guest had this to say to you. They have friends of no faith, of much faith, and middle of the road faith. And all of their friends have had tragedy and trauma happen in their lives. Maybe they lost a job, or they had a miscarriage. Maybe there was a death in the family, or there were some financially hard times. All of those things have happened to my previous guest. And each and every time they have called on to their relationship with God and Mother Mary. And while it may seem trite in the face of devastation, this guest truly encourages you or anyone else to sit in silence with your God and take time to talk to that person, being, entity, and ask for guidance. Express gratitude to God in the midst of adversity.
I love it because, as I stated earlier, there have been times where I'm like, maybe I don't have it clearly defined, but whatever it is, I've done my, prayers or whatever, and I often feel like this thing, weirdly enough, the booth, it's like a little confessional, is what it reminded me of sometimes. And it's also a sanctuary, right? It's padded and all that, right? You know what I'm talking about.
I do.
There have been times I've sat in there, literally like sitting crisscross applesauce on the floor of my booth to be in silence, and I just would just sit there, and some might call it meditation, but in the realm of that, where I'm just letting whatever flow through me.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing to literally shut out the world and shut out all the noise, because we live in a state nowadays in modern times where, like, whether we want to or not, there are messages bombarding us constantly.
All the time.
It's so nice to get that, just sit there and quiet and just let your, again, can't exactly write it down on paper and explain it to somebody where they might understand, but something comes over me and tells me what I need to do. And I think that might be my relationship with said God. So, or maybe it's an ancestor, maybe, something spiritual is happening for sure, that I'll tell you that.
Something spiritual is happening in the silence. Spiritual things do happen. Yeah. And viewers that don't follow you now are not aware of this. The mention of asking for guidance and expressing gratitude. So something that you do often on your social media posts is that you do give gratitude.
Yeah, every
very
Monday.
often.
It was something that, I was talking to a friend of mine right around the holidays. When life beats you down, everything, there's always something, because it was his kids, my nephews, if you will, just whatever little thing that makes you smile and laugh. And and that's the thing. We're like, and we've known each other since we were like kids. It's weird that we now live in the same neighborhood in Florida. We're meeting each other in junior high back in Maryland. Not just live in the same town, but literally the same neighborhood now. So, we were talking about just how on the worst days, even, there's always something you can laugh about, smile about, and be grateful for. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to challenge myself to do this thing every Monday for the new year. So I was like, I'm going to do Monday gratitude, make a video. I try to make videos for most of it, but every now and then I'm like, oh, crap. Life got in the way. So I'm like, let me make a post, but still try to put something into it. And I found that it's just a great way to kick off the work week, where I'm like, a lot of people, they hate Mondays. And I know when I worked in certain jobs, I certainly hated Mondays. But with this, I'm just like, let me put something positive out to start the week, and then kind of do that manifestation, if you will. But I believe that good things happen to good people, and you got to believe in it and keep doing things for the right reasons, making connections, reaching out to folks, not necessarily for some transactional agenda, but just, I truly believe that the best currency is experiences, So somebody who makes you laugh, somebody who makes you think, somebody that triggers any kind of positive emotion out of you, those are the people you want to surround yourself with. You know what I mean? So found my feet again, and I said, never again. I'm never going down that path again. And now, and it's not just like I feel like I have to put on this thing. It's like, no, I want to live each day feeling good, even on a day that stinks, or like I didn't book a damn thing today. But you know what? That's okay, because I got to do this, and this is going to be probably the highlight of my week because this is fun. This is pure. This is real.
Yeah.
You know, I think if everybody could have a conversation like this, even once a week with somebody, it would just do something so beautiful for their spirit. So I can't thank you enough for being the catalyst for this wonderful conversation.
Oh, thank you, Dee. I really appreciate that. And that's the purpose. That's the purpose of the show, is to put out more positive, because we are drowned out by so much of the other stuff out there, so much negative that's out there that we scroll and look through every day and don't realize how much damage it's doing to us. So thank you so much once again for coming. Can't wait for this episode to launch. And hey, good luck for tomorrow, whatever auditions come your way.
Thank you. You too. And to all, as I always say, keep shining. Thank you, Michelle.
Does your soul feel ignited by what you heard today? Then show your support by clicking the subscribe button on the YouTube channel or follow our page. You'll receive alerts when new content is available and stay informed of any special contests or giveaways held by this podcast sponsor. Thanks for watching and listening.